to my new podcast, The Temple of Astoria. In this podcast, I want to dive deeper into the mysteries of the feminine energies, the archetypes, and depth psychology. In the first episode, I want to speak about the luteal phase or premenstrual phase and the predator of the psyche. In Jungian psychology, the predator of the psyche is what refers to a part of our spirit, of our mind, that really wants to do us harm. It's the destroyer inside of us. It's what tells us you're not good enough, you shouldn't try this, it won't work, and it's what makes us sabotage ourselves, and really it just wants our destruction. As women, we can refer to that predator as the animus. When the animus becomes negative, it tends to possess us. When a woman is possessed by our animus, she becomes critical, she becomes petty, childish, she's very irritable, and she becomes very outraged by everything. She's moved by anger and a sense of injustice. She always wants to prove her point, she wants to use force, she wants to make things right, but in the wrong way. She doesn't have any patience, and she struggles to let go of emotional wounds. She can be very entitled and a bit childish, brattish, and she also views life in a masculine way. That is, she values productivity, she values efficiency in a toxic way, to the point that she becomes a perfectionist in everything she does. And that is very detrimental to her feminine nature. To let go of this animus, to stop being possessed by it and falling into the traps of toxic relationships, of trying to prove ourselves, of not feeling good enough, we just have to feed it something, give it a bit of meat, and let it go on its way. And the reason I want to link this mental process, this mind process, to the luteal phase is because I realized that the luteal phase is the moment where the animus has the most chance of getting a hold of us. Because we become more vulnerable, a lot of things come up to the surface when we are preparing to go into our winter. The luteal phase is traditionally a period of disorganized energy that's going down, down, down until we get our period. It's a moment of a lot of creativity. However, if women don't create anything and they don't tend to their needs correctly, this energy tends to become destructive. We can become overcritical to our partner, our family, our friends, or people in the streets. We become short-tempered, and everything is put back into question. Everything is broken down and analyzed to see if it really holds value. In a sense, it really serves a great purpose because it allows us to destroy what no longer serves or has a great use that's pushing us towards our greatest purpose in our life. But when we don't create, when we don't use this energy proactively and with consciousness, with awareness, it becomes destructive. And we start to destroy things in our lives that we otherwise wouldn't destroy, and we can sometimes regret it after. We can snap at people and really regret this burst of emotions. I have found too that it's during this phase that women tend to hate themselves. They don't like their bodies, they don't like how they look, they don't like how their life are going, they put everything in question and they cry a lot because their self-worth is going down. It's going down, it's very, a woman in her luteal phase is very vulnerable, and that's why she becomes so angry, because she's trying to protect that raw feeling, open heart energy. That's when she's very sensitive to energies, whether it's spiritual energies or creative energies, emotions. She can cry easily in front of a romantic movie or a drama, or she can be touched by everything. So that's why she needs to protect herself. But like I said, this tendency to fall into anger is just a great opportunity for the animus, so the masculine part of our mind, that can become good or bad, but when it's not integrated, when it's not into awareness, it can take a hold of us and make us worse. And in my theory is that the women who struggle the most with mood swings and the I don't remember what's the name for the premenstrual dysphoric syndrome. I think these women are at a higher risk of being possessed by the animus, and after that it's a vicious cycle, because once you hate yourself, once you start to criticize and you stop loving and being patient, you just fall into this this rut of depression. Then that fosters inflammation into your body, and inflammation leads to pain, leads to tender breast, leads to cramps, leads to acne, leads to a lot of cravings too, because the cravings in the luteal phase, they are also linked to a need for reassurance. It's to face the wave of intense emotions. So when a woman is in this situation, there is only one solution, and it's love. Love, patience, and grace in whatever state you are in. Because if you're stressed, if you're putting pressure on yourself, if you are listening to the voices of others too much, there is so much pressure on you. If you don't allow yourself to slow down, and if you don't love yourself for needing to slow down, if you don't give yourself this tenderness, this care, this softness, that's when you're going to hate yourself. You're going to really reject your cyclical nature and your body. And that's when the whole thing starts. It's like throwing oil on a fire. It's keeping itself alive because you hate yourself. So the predator of the psyche takes it and continues to say, yeah, you should hate yourself because you're very bad. And then your body reacts to this and is trying to, I don't know, process the anger, the fire of the anger. And that's why you have inflammation. That's why you have pain. That's why you have flare-ups. That's why everything seems to boil inside of you. And you need to express yourself. Find love and acceptance right now, in whatever state you're in. Even if you don't like yourself, accept it. The way I have found my way back to myself was accepting that I didn't love myself, and that was okay. I don't want to put pressure on you to love yourself and be all love and light and just bypass any negativity. That's not about it at all. It's about neutralizing. It's about neutralizing the power of not the power. It's about neutralizing the side your power chose, because your power is neutral. The power, the emotion, it's actually energy in motion, so it's just neutral. So what we want to change is that the emotion is on the side of anger and sadness and self-hatred. What we want to do is let it become neutral. Like, okay, I feel this way. Yes, I'm very angry. That is okay. Yes, I don't love myself. I actually hate myself right now. That is okay. And I know we hear it a lot, but it is really the true key in finding peace that lasts for long. It's the key to loving yourself fully. This is how we change cycles. This is how we make peace with our cyclical nature. And when we have made peace with our anger, we can use that anger in a productive manner, in a useful manner, in a non-destructive manner, or in a destructive manner but applied with awareness. Like, for example, if you are feeling this need to destruct something, you can deep clean your house and find a lot of things to throw away. In my experience, throwing things away was a really, really good outlet for my anger in luteal phase. You can also dance, write, paint, and please, if you do art, don't put pressure on yourself for the results. Because, like I told you, this is a very vulnerable time, so you may not be satisfied with anything you do. And that is not a reason to that is not a reason to hate yourself even more. Like, you could be like, I want to express my anger. Okay, let's draw. Okay, oh, but I hate my drawing. You see, I really hate myself. It's okay. Just accept where you are. That is totally fine. Another thing that's very important is that the emotions that come up when we are in luteal phase are actually an opportunity. You know, I want to make a link that the predator of the psyche, this kind of dark figure that really wants the bad things for us, that wants us to fail, we can compare it to Hades in Persephone. So the woman, when she goes into the dark part of her cycle, she's like going back down into the underworld with Hades. So down there, she meets with Hades. She meets with the predator of the psyche, with her Animus, with the dark parts. And so, if she's feeling bad about herself, she will just stay blind, close her eyes, and not even notice that it's Hades is also talking to her, saying, yes, you should hate yourself, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. But this is because she's in the underworld. So of course she's faced with the shadows. That is the shadow work. The shadow work is opening your eyes inside of the shadows. It's recognizing that this entity, this being, and it's not an outside entity, it's just a mechanism of your mind. It's not something that can like grapple onto your energy. It's nothing exterior to you. And you can control it in time. You can befriend it. You can make it an ally because it can become your ally. But we can see it in many ways for women that reject their cycles, for women that really want to take the pill, that women that smoke, women that abuse substances, women that want hysterectomies, they refuse motherhood, but not in a thoughtful way, in a reactive manner, in an angry manner. That is the possession of the Animus, because they are closing their eyes and thinking it's their own thoughts speaking, but it's not. They're just speaking with a part that's destructive, a part of their minds. And it's not about being healed. Everybody has this, okay? It's just a process for your mind, because it's also useful to destroy things from time to time. We have to like clean up the garbage that's in our minds. And so that's where I'm coming to. When Persephone is in the underworld with her Animus, Hades, she's faced with the darkest part of her mind, the darkest part of a subconscious mind, because the underworld is a subconscious. That's where women go when they are in the darkest part of the cycle. That's why people tend to think and say that women lack logic when they have their period, in a very like simplistic way of saying it. That's how they feel. In a sense, they are not wrong. And it's not about logic. It's because we are going down into our own subconscious. We have access to things, feelings, thoughts, and words that we don't have access. Well, actually, as women, we kind of have access to it a lot of the time, but we don't have access to it as much. It's like the veil is thinning and the words mix together. And so that's why we are much more connected to the world of dreams, spirituality, and the abstract art and everything like this. Poetry really resonates with us in this moment because these are elements of the unconscious, the subconscious. And so inside our subconscious, once we go down to the underworld, we can just close our eyes, ignore the shadows, and believe everything the Animus says. And so we just go back when spring comes back in the follicular phase. We just come back believing that everything was true, that we were a bad person, but we just forget about it because now we're back in the sun. So what happens then? It just starts over and over and over again. But the problem is that when we do that, things pile up. Emotions, they pile up in our subconscious. They just need to be expressed. They need to come out in a way. And so our premenstrual syndrome is going to be worse and worse. And the emotions are not going to change. We're going to be irritable, angry. We're going to crave things. We are going to burst into tears at every provocation. Our ego is going to be crazy, and that's just the animus. The animus coupled with the all the repressed emotions. So, when we want to change this cycle, when we want to befriend our cycle, our menstrual cycle, we go down with awareness, with consciousness, and we try to keep our eyes open in the darkness. If we keep our eyes open in the darkness, what we find is that first of all, we can see. And second of all, we notice this voice is not our voice. We don't really hate ourselves. This voice is not coming from us. Once we start to recognize that, first of all, this voice is not ours, we can neutralize it once again. Because we can have the awareness that we can still keep our own voice even when this one is speaking. When this one is speaking, you're so bad, see, you cannot do anything right, you should be ashamed of yourself for being so angry, and you're so ugly, and blah, blah, blah. We can just answer this voice now. No, I'm not. And sometimes we can answer, at first, we can answer it with the same level of anger. Like, no, stop, I'm not, I know what I am, and I'm not this. Or we when we get more experience in this, we can just keep the same level of love and softness that we have during ovulation, for example. And so we can just keep this love for ourselves and think, when this voice says something like, you're so ugly, you're so despicable, I don't like you, we can say, of course I like myself. It's true that today I was angry. It's true that today I was not at my prime physically. But that's okay. I'm fine with it. I like it. I like myself no matter how I look, no matter what emotion I express. I like myself. I love myself. And when we start to do this, the emotions that come up, the emotions that were piled up, they start to come to us slowly. Like, hey, here I am. Can you also accept me? And then they just queue up like, hey, I need to be accepted too. So then we can feel grief, we can feel sadness, anger, pain, injustice, shame, a lot of dark and very uncomfortable emotions. But when we have the habit to love ourselves unconditionally, when we have the habit to accept whatever we are feeling without reacting to it, without shaming ourselves for it, that's when the magic starts to happen. Because we start to clear up all the dirt, all the repressed feelings, the trauma. We clear it up. When we start to clear up all the emotions that were repressed, we start to make space for who we truly are to come up. We make peace with our cycle, and that is, for me, one of the most powerful things a woman can do in her life. That is my mission, to help women make peace with their cycles. Because once I made peace with mine, my whole life completely changed. I found myself like I never thought I could find myself ever. And that made my life so magical, so miraculous. To me, life is a miracle, and life as a woman, even more. I'm sorry for men. I don't know how it is to be a man. I'm sure it's great too. But I'm very, very grateful, happy, and full of joy to be a woman because I have a cycle and because I get to experience all the initiations. I get to experience this self-cleaning process that we have. We have it physically, but we also can use it mentally. Everything that comes up emotionally during luteal phase is to be released during the period, the menstruation. With our blood goes our emotions. But if we keep our emotions in, the work is not done correctly. It's not done in the best way it could be done. And we stay stuck. And we hate our cycle. And then we have pain. And we wonder why we have pain. Well, it's the repressed emotions. They're stuck. So try to find a way to be more expressive. And at least embrace the shadow, embrace yourself in the shadows. That is what I want to share mostly. Because there is, in our society, there is a lot of acceptance about the darkness in men and masculine energy as strength, warrior spirit. It's recognized. The darkness is recognized when we see the many, many shows and movies that are about the darkness of men. We see it is recognized. But the darkness of women is completely rejected. And the first place where we can see it is in direct relationship from men to women, especially in romantic relationships. Often the man in the the couple, doesn't understand his wife or his girlfriend and completely rejects the changes in her because he is very attached to the positive anima. So, what is the positive anima? The anima is the feminine side of a man. And so, as humans, we both project our animus as women and our anima as men onto others. And what happens is that the anima of men is, for example, the only representation we have is the Virgin Mary. The Virgin is a representation of a man, of a man's version of a woman. So she has a lot of great qualities that we can all admire, and I love her too. However, she does not hold any darkness. That's the principle of her. So that's great because she represents the light side of a woman, of the feminine energy, because she's divine, so. But the dark side of a woman, it exists. It is in all women. However, it holds no representation. Now, more and more, we see a rising of the dark goddess in the cycles of women, sacred feminine energies, and all the womb wisdom circles. Women are really waking up to this archetype. But so if men reject this archetype, women reject it too. The death part of our cycle. So that's why so many women are very happy to take the pill and not have a cycle, not have their period. And I was once like this too. I had endometriosis and I wanted an hysterectomy. I wanted to remove my uterus. And I think, thank God, my doctor said no, because I would have regretted it so much. Like, my uterus is now the centerpiece of my life. It is what brought me to my calling. It is what makes my life so much better because I get to experience cycles. I am a woman and I can create life. And I also experience the death cycle when a part of me dies with the period. It's not just physical, and that's very hard for people to understand. What I wanted to say with the fact that men show in the microcosm how they reject this is because they don't want their women to be sad. They don't let women be angry. They don't let them have emotions. They don't understand. They take it personally. They think they have done something wrong. And they think it's their mission to make them feel better. But that's because men, they don't understand the cycles. Some of them do, of course. I'm just generalizing here. They don't feel the importance of cycles, the importance of dropping down into the underworld, because they also refuse the shadows in themselves. But that's because men, energetically, they have been made, so to speak, to elevate, to go higher, beyond the body, beyond the mind, in the spirit realm. But we as women, we have been made to descend. We have the ability to descend into the depth of the earth and bring back wisdom and find our spirituality, our sacredness in the womb of the earth, where everything is born, where everything is recycled. Like if you think about the soil of a forest, for example, that is exactly the same place you go in your luteal and menstrual phase. That is what you can do with your emotions. The key to making a change for the aspect, the dark aspects of a woman, the dark goddess, to be integrated into an archetype in our collective consciousness, is to do it women by women. Each of us holds the power to accept this archetype, to meet her, to understand that she is a part of her, of us, of our DNA, of our bodies. And she craves to be recognized, because once she is recognized, she loses her toxic side. And also, when a woman integrates the dark part of herself, the dark goddess, she neutralizes the animus. Because by embodying the darkness in herself, by accepting herself with no conditions, with no shame, she does not, she gains maturity. So she does not destroy, she does not attack herself. She knows where to place her anger, her destructive ways. She knows how to use them, and she uses them for good. She uses them to heal herself. She uses them to remove what's no longer serving her and her community, her family. And so the ultimate goal is for women to integrate both light and dark. That is what we've been made to do. I hope you found a bit of information and peace in this podcast. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write it in comments. I'll be very happy to discuss with you. I hope you spend a great day or night. I'll see you later. Bye.